The fastest way to lose respect in a conversation isn't being wrong. It's feeling like you need everyone's approval before making a decision. And strangely, one of the biggest signs of that is something most people think is a good habit: over-explaining. Have you ever noticed that the more you explain yourself, the less people seem to listen? You add details, then more details, then a few extra reasons, just to make sure nobody misunderstands you. But somehow, the more you talk, the less convincing you sound. It's strange, because most of us believe that better communication means giving more explanation. I used to think that too, until I started noticing a pattern. The people who seemed the most confident weren't always the most persuasive. They weren't the people with the longest explanations. They were usually the people who said what they meant and stopped.
And that's when I realized something. Most over-explaining isn't actually about clarity. It's about approval. Think about the last time you explained a decision that didn't really need defending. Maybe you turned down an invitation because you needed to study. Maybe you said no to something. Maybe you made a choice that someone didn't agree with. At first, you gave a simple reason, but then something happened. You felt uncomfortable, so you added another reason and another and another. Not because the decision was unclear, because you wanted the other person to feel okay with it. What started as communication quietly became a request for validation. And people can feel that, not because they're judging you, but because uncertainty tends to leak through words. Here's the part most people miss. The problem isn't explaining. Good communication matters. Clear communication matters. The problem starts when your point is already understood, but you keep talking anyway. Imagine a student saying, "Sorry, I can't come. I need to study tonight." That's clear. But sometimes that sentence turns into a long explanation about assignments, deadlines, exams, stress, future goals, and everything else happening that week. The message didn't become clearer, it became more defensive. And the longer it goes, the more it sounds like the person is trying to convince someone that their choice is acceptable. Pause for a second. Confident people aren't confident because they always have perfect reasons. They're confident because they don't feel the need to prove their reasons to everyone. That's a huge difference. They're not rude. They're not dismissive. They're not ignoring people. They simply trust themselves enough to let a decision stand on its own. And that's often what people interpret as confidence. Not certainty, not dominance, self-trust. The ability to say, "This is my decision," without feeling pressured to build a courtroom case around it. And here's the surprising part. When you stop chasing approval, people often respect your decisions more. Not because you're louder, not because you're tougher, but because you're communicating something powerful underneath your words. I trust my judgment. That's the quiet shift. The next time you catch yourself adding one more explanation, ask yourself a simple question. Am I sharing information or am I looking for validation? That one question reveals more than most people realize, because sometimes the strongest thing you can say isn't a better explanation. It's enough. So if you've been feeling exhausted trying to make everyone understand every decision you make, try this small shift. Say what you mean. Be kind, be clear, then stop. Because confidence rarely sounds like a perfect argument. Most of the time, it sounds like simplicity. And once you notice that, you'll start hearing over-explaining everywhere, including in yourself.